Christian Horner, the man who built Red Bull into an empire, who never missed a single race in 2 decades, who took an energy drink and turned it into an F1 dynasty. Now he's been dumped, not resigned, not stepped down, fired with immediate effect. Like Bernie Ecclestone said, it's like he murdered somebody. But here's what nobody's telling you. Christian Horner isn't done. In fact, he might be planning the most calculated, explosive comeback in modern F1 history. So buckle up, because this isn't just about one man's downfall. It's about revenge, power, and the terrifying possibility that Red Bull just created their own worst enemy. Smash that like button, not because the algorithm demands it, but because this is the real F1 drama they're trying to bury beneath PR statements. Horner isn't fading into the background. No time with family, no golf course retreat. He's likely on gardening leave. F1's polite way of saying, sit down, shut up, and don't leak our secrets. Why? Because this man holds everything. 2026 engine plans, staff contracts, technical pipelines, aerodynamic data, budget breakdowns. He knows Red Bull inside out, and that terrifies them. But here's the twist. Horner's not just biding time. He's preparing a counterstrike, and 2 targets are in his crosshairs, Ferrari and Alpine. Ferrari's interest isn't new. They've sniffed around before, but the politics, the language, the relocation, it's a red maze, which brings us to Alpine, the most underrated power play in this whole saga. Let's paint the picture. They're leaderless. Briatore is back in the shadows. Steve Nielsen is stepping in, but he's never led a team. Now imagine this. Christian Horner walks into Enstone, takes control of Alpine, rebuilds from scratch, and turns Red Bull's cast-off into its biggest threat. That's not just poetic, that's vengeance written in lap times. Let's stop pretending this is a normal sacking. You don't fire the architect of your legacy without cause, unless the cause is a power struggle. Horner versus Marco. Horner versus Verstappen. Senior Horner versus the very DNA of a team that forgot who made them champions. Let's not forget Max's loyalty always leaned toward Marco. And the moment Max's future was questioned, Horner was out. So ask yourself, was this Red Bull's way of keeping Verstappen, or was this Horner getting out before the ship begins to crack? Because here's what people forget. Red Bull's success wasn't just Max, it wasn't just Newey, it was Horner, the politician, the strategist, the tactician. And if he rebuilds Alpine, if he turns them into contenders by 2026, it won't just be a comeback, it'll be a statement. It'll prove that Red Bull's empire wasn't built on horsepower, but on his blueprint. So now we wait. Christian Horner, silenced but not stopped, benched but still plotting, and when that gardening leave ends, you better believe he's not joining a Netflix series. He's coming back for blood. How does a man who led Red Bull to 14 world titles, who sat on the F1 throne for 2 decades, who never missed a single race, get sacked overnight without a reason? No leaks, no press conference, no explanation, just silence and a bullet to the back. And now Bernie Ecclestone, yes, Bernie, the godfather of Formula One, has broken that silence, and he's not defending his old friend, he's calling him out. He was a 50-year-old who thought he was 20, just an idiot. So what did Christian Horner do to deserve this public stoning and a Red Bull pink slip? Let's break down the backroom deals, the internal wars, and the power plays that finally toppled the F1 kingpin. And hey, if you're tired of corporate PR and crave the real story behind Formula One's biggest names, hit that like button. Like Verstappen hits pole position, it fuels this channel like Red Bull used to fuel Horner's empire. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Christian Horner didn't get fired because of bad results. Sure, Red Bull slipped to 3rd in 2024, and they're 4th right now in 2025. But this is a man who brought home 8 drivers' titles. He delivered 21 wins out of 22 races in 2023. You don't fire that guy unless something else is going on. According to Bernie, the issue wasn't the car. It wasn't the paddock politics. It was Horner himself. He acted like it was the Christian Horner ring. Let that sink in. We're talking about a man who got too powerful, too insulated, too untouchable. He stopped being a team boss and started acting like a monarch. And Red Bull, they let it slide until the wins stopped coming. Then came the real catalyst, the investigation. Horner was accused of inappropriate behavior by an employee. 2 internal investigations cleared him, but the damage was done. Sponsors were watching, fans were whispering, and inside the team, support from the Thai ownership, Horner's last line of defense began to fade. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a ticking time bomb. And when Horner doubled down and insisted he was still the CEO, when he refused to share the reins, Red Bull pulled the plug. Now here's where it gets explosive. Bernie Ecclestone didn't have to speak. He could have defended Horner, could have called it a misunderstanding, but instead, he said what nobody else had the guts to say out loud. He got away with too much, and when the winds dried up, people started looking. In other words, Horner's power protected him until it didn't. Let's talk legacy. Adrian Newey, gone. Rob Marshall, gone. Jonathan Wheatley, gone. Even Max Verstappen, the very driver Horner built an empire around, is shopping for an exit. If you're Red Bull and your golden boy might be headed to Mercedes, what do? You clean house? Make no mistake, this wasn't about justice. This was about self-preservation. Red Bull didn't just fire Horner, they sacrificed him. And Bernie, he knows exactly what that means. He's seen it before. That's why he said what he said. Think about that for a second. Christian Horner, the man who built Red Bull into a Formula One empire, didn't just get fired. He got erased, silenced, disarmed, but it came at a cost. 50 million pounds, maybe even 60 million pounds. Once you factor in bonuses, image rights, and hush clauses, that's not a severance package. That's not gratitude. That's a payoff. So ask yourself, what could possibly be worth that much silence? And why is one of the most powerful men in F1 now a free agent with a blank check and an axe to grind? If you're ready to hear what Sky Sports won't say and what Red Bull doesn't want leaked, smash that like button like Verstappen smashes qualifying laps. This isn't PR, this is truth. Let's pull back the curtain on the most expensive sacking in F1 history. Let's do the math. Christian Horner's contract ran until 2030. In 2023 alone, he reportedly earned £8.9 million. That number likely grew in 2024 off the back of Verstappen's title. So what does a clean break look like? Answer, a mountain of cash. We're talking 50 to 60 million pounds in payouts. But that money isn't just to cover his salary, it's to bind his hands. Because Horner didn't just run the team, he was the team. He knows every engine spec coming for 2026, every technical hire, every sponsorship clause. He brought in Visa and Cash App. He negotiated behind-the-scenes deals nobody even knows about yet. You don't let a guy like that walk to Ferrari or Alpine without locking him down with gardening leave and NDA clauses thicker than Red Bull's front wing. This wasn't a send-off. It was a containment operation. Red Bull is buying time to reorganize, time to protect their secrets, time to stop him from becoming their biggest threat. Everyone's asking, why now? Let me give you 3 reasons Red Bull made the nuclear decision. Number 1, ownership power shift. Until recently, Chalerm Uvidya, from the Thai side, had Horner's back. But in May, a 2% stake was transferred out of his hands. Small on paper, massive in practice. Suddenly, Horner was exposed. No shield, no leverage. And once you lose protection at that level, you're expendable. 2. Verstappen's exit clause. Max Verstappen, the crown jewel, has a performance escape hatch. If he drops out of the top 4 by Hungary, he can leave, and Mercedes is already circling like sharks. The Verstappen camp and Horner? Tense. There's real talk that Horner had to go for Max to stay, so if you're Red Bull, who do you back? Your 4-time world champion with years ahead of him, or a 51-year-old executive under constant media fire? 3. Bernie's brutal words. Even Bernie Ecclestone, Horner's old ally, turned on him. He was a 50-year-old who thought he was 20. Just an idiot. Let that quote echo. Bernie is no stranger to scandal. If he is calling you reckless, something very real, very serious went down, we may never know what, and that's the point, because the 50 million pounds is doing its job, buying silence, buying time, buying peace before the next war.